So I decided that there's something missing in my project, which is very fundamental to beginning to discover, to explore these, that is fundamental to beginning to implement the elements that I came up with. So it's something that is more fundamental to the elements, because it is something that spurs something that spurs, that's supposed to inspire the elements in the first place. Not something that I don't have. And the way that I went about discovering this is on Sunday. I think I overslept or something like that, but my mind was foggy and I couldn't focus, and I didn't make any progress on the project. I just put everything off because nothing mattered to me anymore because of how I felt. And it went on for Sunday I felt like that. My mind was just foggy and I couldn't focus. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was kind of going away. Thursday went by, and Friday and Saturday. Now today is Sunday again, and I'm starting to get back into the rhythm. But the problem was still there, and it's something that I have to fix, because if it happens again, I need to know how to get back into it. So I started thinking of ways of the problems that were causing this, what I have to fix in order for to prepare for this if it happens again. How do I get back into it? How do I snap out of it without having to wait for me to recover naturally? Or what is it that allows me to recover so I could implement them, so I could implement those elements quicker, in a more efficient manner, so I could get out of that state quicker. So I was kind of analyzing that situation. I was thinking back on that situation, trying to get back into that mood again so I could analyze it, how to get out. And the things that I tried to do while I was in that state, while I was in that foggy state, was I was trying to focus so I could focus on the project, because I knew that once I focused on the project, I would be again inspired to continue with it. But I didn't have the ability to focus. So focus is one. Then I was trying to just kind of expose myself to ideas of, I was trying to expose myself to ideas of the archetypes of my goal in order to kind of like get inspired. But I didn't really like that, because it's like you can only do so much by listening to music to inspire you, or watching TV, or watching something that inspires you, or listening to a talk. But all of that stuff, if you listen to music, or if you listen to speakers, to motivational speakers, all of those are external influences, or all of those are external. And my goal in this project is to not have any dependencies, to be able to generate it from within. And if you depend on outside influences, you're not generating it from within. So the only way that would work is if you expose yourself to something that's always there, something that's eternally present, like the air, or like space, or time. So that wouldn't be a problem, because you always have access to it, or yourself, your soul, or so you always have access to that. That's because it's part of the world, is part of you. The deeper, the more essential the element is that inspires you, the better, and the more access you will have to it, and the more sure access, the more certain access you will have to it, and the less it will be if it were to be gone. The less of a problem it would be if it were to be gone. So I need to kind of make something like my own identity the inspiration for this, or life itself, or observation itself. But in order for me to be able to pick up on these exposures, or pick up on the inspiration of these ever-present things, I would need to focus on what about these things inspires me. But that would also be a problem because that involves focus, that involves effort, and effort is something that I did not have at the time when my mind was foggy, and because I didn't have motivation. So again, I would need focus. I would need to make a decision to focus on these subtle, inspiring things of that are found in reality itself. But because I wasn't inspired to focus, I couldn't focus to get inspired. So that inspiration would be kind of a loop, and I would have to break into that loop, because I can't focus in order to get inspired, and I can't, and because I'm not inspired, I can't focus. And so it's something that I have to break into. So that's something that I try to do, putting effort into my focus. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing that I was trying to do is just submitting to the situation, just kind of relaxing into it, just kind of like giving into the flaw, giving into the fog, just like not even trying to get better, but just living it. But I realized I went like that throughout the whole week, and yeah, I guess that's basically what I ended up doing, because I just went with the flow. But I mean, I feel like that could be a step forward, but I do remember doing that for 5 years, and that does not necessarily bring any progress. So you could stay in the same. If you just submit to your situation and not do anything about it, you can stay in that situation for the rest of your life and never get anywhere. So yeah. So the things that work. Right now, the inspiration, or the foundation that I have right now is the phrase "freedom is ultimate," to kind of remind myself of that. And then when I realize that freedom is ultimate, and I understand whatever that means, that will give me the inspiration that should give me the inspiration to follow the rest of the steps, the rest of the 10 elements that I created in my project, which is, so start off with freedom is ultimate, understand that phrase, have a familiarity with that phrase enough to understand it. Then it would be continuous renewal, awareness, enjoyment, pride, and grace, and the rest of them, so on. But if you don't have anything in the foundation to spur the process, then to someone that is not inspired, not motivated, that whole thing would be useless. And I want this to be accessible to even those people that have no inspiration, that have just given up, and that just don't care. So right now I'm trying to come up with that. What I concluded, one of the first things that I concluded from all of this, is that what is necessary is familiarity. Because if you have familiarity, then you have familiarity with the inspiration, you have familiarity with the motivation that you're trying to seek after, and because you have familiarity with that, it will just come to you naturally. If you're familiar with it, you don't need to think about it, you don't need to remember it, you don't need to be inspired with it because your mind is already familiar with it. So yes, that could be a solution to it, and that means that all I have to do is surround myself with these ideas, keep repeating to myself these ideas and these concepts in order to be self-motivated, so that they're part of me, so that they're ingrained, so that they're part of me already enough for me to move on my own. But again, I want this project I want this system to work for even those that are not familiar with anything, so that if you're at the very bottom, climb up either way. So I'm trying to find that element. And familiarity, in order to get familiar with something like that, you would need to be interest. There would need to be interest and there would need to be motivation. So, familiarity is a solution, but familiarity is only a solution once you have it. So I'm trying to think of something that would be a solution even before you have it. And the last thing that I came up with, or what? So now I'm trying to think of a way. Now I'm trying to think of something that would motivate you, that would inspire you to become familiar with these things. And the last conclusion that I came up with was, and so then I started thinking about something that has no inspiration, something that has no motivation to even consider free will, to even consider freedom from your instinctual behaviors. So kind of like if you think of a being that has no free will, if you think of an agent that has no free will, for a lot of you, maybe the concept of an animal would work. So I'm going to use that, regardless of if animals really have free will or not. I'm just going to use that concept just to kind of make it or a robot. So something that has no free will. How do you create inspiration or motivation for them to seek free will? And what I came up with is that one of the things that I value, or one of the elements that I value, that I try to put in all my systems, is how is the goal already part of the problem? How is the solution already part of the problem? How is the goal already part of the initial situation? So, that concept, that dynamic, I'll talk about it in another video. But so what I was trying to do here is how is free will, how is freedom already part of the instinctual mind, already part of the agent without free will. So now here is that free will is part of nature, and you can get to it even even through a mind that has no free will. So when you start off, so all you would need to do is kind of like rearrange or see how an instinctual mind, a mind without free will, spontaneously yields free will, because and the reason why it spontaneously yields that is because free will is part of itself. It's part of its makeup. It's part of its inherent makeup. Free will is already inherent to that. Maybe because free will is just a inherent element in reality itself. So you would need to have that idea. So you start off with that belief, or with that idea, and then you would realize that the instinctual mind, or the mind without free will, is actually the mind without free will actually has the potential to create free will, actually has the potential to be free. And so now the question is, how does an animal, or an agent without free will, or a robot, create free will? If you were a robot, how would you create your own free will from that? And so my project was not headed in that direction, but this is a new question that came up because of the problem that I had this week. And so yeah, that's something else that I would need to work on. Right now I was just working on elaborating on all the 10 elements, making sure I have everything that I've produced, everything that I've derived, and put it in and organize it in, organize it really thoroughly and really organize it in a really neat and thorough manner. So that's what I was working on, but because of what happened last Sunday, this new question came up. How do you get from an animalistic mind that only follows instincts, and how do you create free will from that?